my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We are going to do a book nook, which is a little bit unusual today, and the critter quilt plus another thing or two. So let's first dive into the book nook. I was looking for a book the other day of my published books, and I have two shelves worth of my published books that are kind of like my working pieces. I have more copies other places, but these are kind of the working ones, and they were totally out of order. There were mixed in magazines where I've been published and books that I did not write the whole thing where I was published because I had contributed to the book, etc. So I thought I need to take those out and sort them. So you're going to come along, and if you have a bookshelf that needs sorted, pause the video, go to your bookshelf, and then resume. So let's go. So for the most part, this bookshelf and this bookshelf are my published books. There's also some magazines in there. But what I need to do is pull it all out, sort it so that it's by book, because there's duplicates. There's a few over here that are duplicated from here, etc. And then I'll duplicate them, then I'll put them in basically chronological order, and then I actually have to check the end of this. I know most of that is not, but there might be one book in there. So I'm going to first just pull all this out. Well, nothing like the kitchen counter to allow you to sort. So here are the books. There's Splendid Sampler. This is probably my very first book with McCall's Easy Seasonal Banners. We did a whole series in the magazine, and then put a lot of them into the book, plus new ones. Teach Me series, lots of other Leisure Arts books. Some of these are in digital now at Leisure Arts because they are, of course, still in publication. Martingale is not, so all of their books are only on the secondhand market. So Take the Fear Out of Color. You've got light coming in here, but you just have to deal with that. Okay, Vintage Blooms was for my first fabric line. Tour of Ireland, one of my favorite books, where we went to Ireland and filmed on location. Such an awesome experience. My applique book that you can still get in digital because it's with Leisure Arts, my first publisher. These are the two that are still in print right now. Teach Me to Make My First Quilt and Tantalizing Table Toppers. And then my beginner book that is still in digital and probably in print with Leisure Arts, and then Machine Quilting, which is also digital. Okay, so here we go. These are all going to go back on the shelf, and let me show you a few of the things that were on that shelf. This group of books are ones that I contributed to. So I did not write the full book, but I contributed a quilt to them. There was a whole Moda All-Star series. My most recent one was the Quilts of Valor, where the quilt was actually then gifted to a veteran who happens to be the aunt of my very good friend Dennis, who is also one of our ambassadors. My longtime friend Dennis. Other things that I contributed to, like this is a Leisure Arts book on flannel quilts. There we go. There's just, so Great American Quilts was also one of my earlier books that I contributed to. So Great American Quilts 2003 has one of my favorite quilts in it. Okay, let's just take a look real quick, because I believe it is actually the first quilt in here. Rhonda Richards, contacted me. There it is. This is there a full picture? Let me see. That might be the only, that's the main picture of it. So I love that quilt. That was so awesome to be asked to do this. Okay, let me just show you some of the magazines while we're down here. I have not kept all the magazines, and I need to go through them. This section is magazines I've been published in, some other things, mostly magazines I've been published in, plus let's take a look at the last stack. First is this group of Irish Quilting Magazine. It was a publication out of Ireland, and I was a contributing editor to it, and so you can see there were quite a few issues. I think it ran maybe 3 years at the most. So look at the castle. Yeah, so this was really fun to be involved with. And then here are a whole group of magazines that were on those 2 shelves, so they need to go back because I haven't gone through them. This was super special, the Quilt Pink process with American Patchwork and Quilting magazine. I was involved with it originally when the Quilt Pink quilts started, and my local friends and I took some of the blocks that were donated and assembled them into quilts that were then auctioned off for breast cancer research. So these are a stack of them. And then I've got a small group of the Primitive Quilts and More, which are now a digital only issue. Here is my quilt on the cover of that one. And then I had a series in one of these. Here's another quilt on the cover. This one was, I think, designed by my friend Anne, I believe, and with my fabrics. And so one of these has like a 4-part series, so I don't know, there was like 4 months. It might be those 4 that I kept. Okay, so I've got all those that'll go back on the shelf. Actually, this was designed by me. Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes I design so many things I forget. So there it is. And this was kind of the background, and then the applique went on top. There we go. Look at that. I like that one. I'm sure that has been sent off to it has been sent off to be auctioned somewhere. It's been given away. Oh, before I put them back, I did a whole bunch of projects with some French language magazines, and so I've kept all of those. They're in French, and I have projects in there. I did quite a few with them. My Teach Me to Sew Triangles is the only book I had published in Spanish, so that was very, very cool. And the Splendid Sampler was in Spanish. I forgot about that one. I remember the triangles, but this one was also in Spanish. The Splendid Sampler itself was republished 4 times, which is extraordinary. It was such an amazing project. So fun. There we go. They are all sorted now, how I think of them. And back, which they don't look any different to you, do they? But you got to see them all pulled out. I do feel much better. There's a couple of them, I may have said this, where I only have 1 copy, and we have a box of sort of our archive stuff and of extra copies, and I need to get into that extra copy box and see if I think there's like 2 of them. I don't know whether there's more in there. There's another one I know there's more in that box, but the other 2 I don't know if there are. And so, you know, do I need more than 1 copy of my book? I feel better to have 2 just in case. Just in case what? I don't know. They're together. It's not like I have an extra set of copies someplace else. I don't. So anyway, silly me, right? Silly me. So there you go. That was really good. It was really good to go through there and get them all sorted up so that I can find them more easily. All right, today is it is Summer Leisure Day. What is that? Is it like the middle of the summer vacation? It kind of is, right? June, July, and August. That's kind of the typical 3 months of summer vacation time. And so we're right smack in the middle of this time frame. So it's Summer Leisure Day, July 22nd every year. And so tell me today in the comments here at YouTube or over at my fireside chat group at Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. Tell me, what is your favorite leisure thing to do? You know, what is your favorite activity to do for summertime, for fun? One of the things I love to do is eat outside. Now, I can eat outside in the spring and I can eat outside, you know, into the fall, but eating outside in the summer, particularly if there's a water view, that is the best. We might add a mojito to that too, you know, just for the summer vibe. Okay, that's mine. Okay. I have got the next crush block with the Roar fabric almost all sewn. These are the only pieces I don't have sewn down yet to make the star points, and then of course putting the block together. I've wanted to show you this because I've folded them over. Sometimes it is extraordinarily hard for our brain to get darks as the background. We're used to having lights as the background, so even though I've got a medium and a dark, It is sometimes hard for us to position things because we always are kind of defaulting to the dark being the actual shape, whereas in this case the dark is the background. So I pinned them. I stuck them into the design board. You know, these are the design boards. So I just stuck them with a pin into the design board, and then that way they're positioned correctly, so I can just pick them up and sew them correctly. So what I'm going to do is sew this block and get the other one with the big dinosaur eggs as the background, and we'll see how the two of them look. Here's a tip on thinking about this. You will sew all of them from this sew and flip down. So if you are sewing from out here, stop yourself. It's wrong. If you are sewing from either pointed end, well, you could sew from this pointed end, but it's much easier to sew from up here where there's not a sharp point you're trying to feed into your feed dogs. Just remember you're sewing from this folded piece across on the diagonal, and then you'll always be right. You won't sew it wrong. Here it is, all sewn together. This fabric is actually like a long string, so I mean a long, you know, like a border print kind of a thing. So he does get a little bit cut off, but I'm okay with that. And then we have the bird. So here are the two blocks, and they will alternate with the big dinosaur eggs and then the background from that main border print. The centers will all be a different dinosaur, all different dinosaurs. So fun. These are actually pretty easy blocks, pretty simple blocks. So if you have not tried my crush pattern, give it a go. You can just get the digital download, or if you have my book that it's in, the links are for both in the description box here under the video and at the pinned first comment, which is pinned so that you can only see the first comment. Open that up, that has the links as well. Okay, these are the cutaways from the sew and flips here. So when I'm doing like these guys, it creates these. And when I did the main, this, you know, anytime this quilt with the borders, which the crush pattern that's a digital download doesn't have the half square triangle borders, but they came about because when I was doing that particular quilt for myself, I thought, well, I'm going to save all these and use them as an inner border. And then I did put the directions for that into the book one, which is the blue and white version. So I'll be sewing these up into half square triangles. They will not go on this version because that border print is so wide. I don't need to add anything. Just put the border print on as close as I can get it to the block so that it looks good and it makes the quilt not so gigantic. That's always, it's going to be a big quilt, but that's okay. It's going to be fun. Now let's see. Before we get to the critter quilts, in the month of July, the Fat Quarter Shop is running a sale for Elizabeth Hartman's patterns, which are all critters. Some of these critters might be Elizabeth Hartman patterns. I think the dog is. I'm pretty sure that dog is. Maybe. I can't remember. But you can go look on the critter page. The koala is up there. The koala, where is she? All the way up there. The koala is definitely, let's see, there. The koala is definitely from Elizabeth Hartman pattern. Now, I did notice that a lot of them were sold out, so maybe they'll get more in for the month, so just go and check the description. The link is in the description box below. And thank you, everybody, for using my links when you shop. You can go to my shopping page and see all the different people, the different companies that I work with. When you use my link, it attaches it's my link to your shopping cart, and I get a small commission off of your entire shopping cart. And so, but you do have to usually check out within 24 hours to 48 hours. Amazon is definitely 24 hours. The stores like the Fat Quarter Shop, the Confident Stitch, Connecting Threads, Sewing Parts Online, they might be like a 2-day. But don't use anybody else's links, because then theirs goes in instead of mine. But I do appreciate it. All of that helps our small family business, and Greg and I really appreciate it. Okay, I have a little bit of mail. This is from Eleanor in Rhode Island. Yes. So she sent, look at this. Look at that. So pretty, bleeding hearts, right? And she sent me along some yellow squares for my yellow chiffon. And this is the bin. So this is the bin I put everything in. Here they go, right on top. way to go. So I have a few more in my selection. Somebody asked me like how many strips did I cut from the pieces, the fat quarters that were in like the sampler bundle. I cut like 1 strip, which gave me like 6 or 8 squares, and so that was good. I have quite a few yellow squares. It's just nice to have a little bit more variety. Okay, oh, she also sent, oh my goodness, I almost forgot. She also sent this, it's laying here. Look at this teeny tiny mushroom. Red with little beads. Look how precious that is. Looks like she made it for me. I am going to put that on the mushroom tree, right on the mushroom tree. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you, thank you. And I want to tell you that somebody was asking about some sticky backs for your rulers. And so I like these ones. They happen to be hearts. It's hard to see them. They're there. But you can look at the picture. So I have those. And then the next banner is out. Oh my goodness, it's the pencils. Melissa Mortison designed this one for Riley Blake. These patterns only come in the kits, but it is so stinking cute. So cute. Greg loves yellow pencils. He has a thing about writing with pencils, so I think I'm going to do this one for him. Do this one for him. I have only done one of the banners so far, and I've given a bunch of them to one of my friends so that she could enjoy making them, because I knew I was not going to get to them. So I am definitely going to do the pencils because Greg likes pencils. Okay, let's talk about the critter quilt. These are pretty much the same way I stuck them up here the other day, and they've been sitting up here. And so I've started the process of, I have to take each block and measure it, and then I have to go to my, and I have to trim them because they are not coming in often at a size that's mathematical, or even, you know, so I need to get them into something within a 1/4 inch. I prefer to do a 1/2 inch or full inch, but sometimes I'm going to have to do a 1/4 or 3/4 inch, but this is fine. It's all math, and it's all a grid system for designing. Also looking at it, I'm going to show you here in a second, I needed a diagram, just a working diagram, so that I can take all these numbers into my computer. And so this is what I started, and I'll show it to you, because this is what I have going. And let's take a look, because you can do this kind of thing yourself if this is something where you have a lot of maybe leftover blocks and you want to try to do something. So if you put them up on the wall like I did, and then you have like a graph paper, or you can put it into a table of some sort in the computer. Some people have actually I've known them to put them in cells of spreadsheets. But basically, I have kind of a thought that it's going to be horizontal rows. The problem is that big dog that's sitting there, that long hot dog. So I've moved him down here, but what that will end up with when I go to the computer is that there will be kind of a big space here. So I don't want like one big space that I need to fill with random stuff. I mean, I have random smaller blocks and things, but what I'm going to really do is probably look at some of the other shapes once it goes in the computer and try to move them around some. But I'm going to go with 3 horizontals, and it's easier than getting the ladder out to start at the top, so I started at the bottom, and I've taken the blocks and trimmed them and put the sizes, and I'm putting the actual finished size. So this is like 13 by 13, this is 7.5 by 10, this is 12 by 12, this is 8.5 by 11 3/4. See, that's the way that block was coming out. And so I'm putting it by the final size, because when I go to a grid, I don't add the seam allowance. With the grid, I want only final sizes. You know, you don't want to be working with your seam allowance size when you're in the grid. You know that you have to add that. I mean, it already has it. The blocks already have it. When I'm doing spacer pieces, then I might, then I'll have to say, okay, this is a 2 by 6 area that I need a strip for, so I need a 2.5 by 6.5 cut piece of fabric. But I'm not working on that yet. Right now, I'm just doing blocks. So it's going to take me a little bit to go ahead and get the rest of these, because there are more blocks in this quilt than the other two. The other two had a lot of really large blocks. And so on purpose, I did that because they were also coloration-wise in the first two critter quilts. Those fabrics and blocks all work together. Here, these were all kind of the browns and grays mostly. So then they ended up being a lot of 12-inch or smaller blocks, and only a few little bit bigger blocks. So like the koala is a little bit bigger, the tiger, and this dog and the squirrel over there. But then after that, they're mostly a 12 or a 13-inch square or smaller. So there will be some spacers. I was going through the bin and I found this guy, which I thought was so darling. Plus he's blue, like a blue and purple, and I thought I need to put a little bit, I want to keep like the blue in here to sort of brighten it up just a little bit. So there'll be a lot of blue and maybe pinks, dark pinks, maybe some of that from here, like the fuchsia, like these colors, whoops, maybe some of them with the blue. And that's kind of where I'm going to go with spacers. And there might not be that much, but this guy, because there's going to be a few spots that need a little bit of focus fabric, or I can go get another part center block. I have some blocks pulled off, but you know, I'm not there yet. I'm not even thinking about that part yet. So there we go. This is the process now, to take the guide, finish trimming and writing down all the sizes, and then the next time we talk about this, I will probably be going to the computer and entering everything. I've entered everything, entered all the blocks. I'll show you a little bit of that process. Of course, it's much too long a process to film everything, but I'll show you maybe getting it started, putting a couple blocks in, then moving things around, doing the grid. And again, the software I use is discontinued professional level graphics package. Any professional level graphics package that can move squares around will work for you, but mine is not available. It also has nothing to do with quilts, so you know, it's not quilt oriented at all. You could probably use EQ for this, if Electric Quilt, the software, if you wanted. Okay. Has the lighting changed while we're filming this? It has gotten really dark out. It might actually rain soon. Okay, so what do you think? Let's look at these again. Yeah? Yeah? Oh, they're good. They are good. All right, my friend. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.